Hey everyone, Sean here, and today in this video, I unfortunately got sick right before the weekend, and I'm okay for the most part. Just my voice just got shot during my recovery process of things. So I appreciate if you guys can bear with me on this one, but I really wanted to sit down and talk about a show that I watched or I decided to watch during my time of my recovery on my way to being better, and it happened to be Yu Yu Hakusho for Netflix. This is indeed the live action version that, of course, naturally people are gonna dread and just roll their eyes, just like I did, as the four key arts sort of came out with the visuals on the faces of the four main characters: Yusuke, Kubara, Kurama, and Hiei. All of them kind of were subpar for the most part. Yusuke being kind of acceptable because he's pretty basic portrayal, but when it came to someone like Kuwabara, I was very initially disappointed. He is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, you know, and to omit the pompadour up front like that, come on, man. And I felt like, somebody else could have been casted, with a more gruff face, but I'll get to that in a bit though. But I wanted to get this out of the way though. After watching the full 5 episodes with an hour each, of course, I was able to sit down and watch this a full night, or the for pretty much one night. I actually came to the conclusion that it actually came out better than I expected. I think that's a somewhat common thing. I mean, I understand that, it's not for everyone. This was definitely not welcomed. It wasn't needed. It was not demanded, but but there are some things to praise about. And this is not definitely not the worst thing I've seen when it comes to live action stuff in general. I think it helps continuing the ongoing trend, or paving the road for good live action animes anyway, or at least they're paying attention to making it better and better as we go along. But of course, having this only to be 5 episodes, the pacing is already, going to be a detriment to what we came to love with Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho is that manga slash anime series by Togashi, the same creator for Hunter x Hunter, which is still a ongoing loving thing, beloved thing, with his own sort of history, and of course, unfortunately, bumps on the road. But anyway, Yu Yu Hakusho is, I would say, the more long lasting, or long everlasting, loving, beloved series. It left that impression in our hearts. I know it did for me. Funny enough, though, I did watch it a little bit in Japanese. I remember the theme song always stuck in my head, with Smile Bomb, which I will mention later on for this series. But yeah, the theme song always was stuck in my head. And then, of course, I was very happy that they used it for the English dubbing. That was, of course, on Adult Swim. I was very happy that they kept it. And I was like, wow, it was a very catchy English theme that worked so well, and it captured more and more people who watched Adult Swim when it came to English dubbed anime anyway, or just anime in general, especially after the debut of Dragon Ball Z and such like that, and Pokemon. But anyway, this was another, ongoing trend of, like, trying to make everything live action, and this was one of them. And so I came out saying, like, yeah, come on, does this really need anything? But having said that, like I said, it came out better than I expected. But let's talk about the negatives that came from this show. So obviously, like I said, it's 5 episodes, so they are condensing this to hell to tell these 5 episodes. You know what I mean? Yes, it's still going along with that similar thing with, showing Yusuke being that delinquent junior high student. And believe it or not, people think that yeah he is in high school or something, but I believe this is still junior high. But anyway, um, it's the same premise, um, and the sort of the basics are covered, but a lot of the sort of the nuances are missed out, of course, just like with One Piece, right? But at least here, I think it's done a little more tastefully, I would say, but still the pacing is still an issue. I was overall, in order to get like the sort of the juicy little bits that you come to love with each of these characters, even Toguro. You know, yeah, they got the basics of him down, but they missed some marks there. But when it comes to the 4 main characters, of course, um, the look of them already, I mean, 3 out of the 4 of them could have been done better. Kuwabara, come on, man, the pompadour. But speaking of that, though, while I do say yes, the pompadour isn't present in the front, there is a reverse pompadour in the back. It's so strange. It's like, why, you know what I mean? Even Toguro in this one has more of a pompadour than Kuwabara, and Kuwabara is all about the pompadour. So it's like, come on, Um, I'm sure it would have been fine to do stunts with or do action scenes with it, but I guess it could have been a combination of the practicality of things, but it might have been just the art direction that they decided to go with. But it's there, but it's just in reverse, if you noticed. So I thought that was strange with Kuwabara with that alone. But nitpicking aside, I thought um, they were pretty respectful with these characters, especially with Yusuke and Kuwabara. They kind of show like the 2 sides of them, right? You know, they showed definitely their delinquent side of things, but they showed off their kind-hearted side of things. But you gotta love the action, right? That happened early on with Yusuke, like, all right, fine, I'll fight you, Kuwabara, and drop kicks the shit out of him, right? That was great. I love those little things about this show. You know, those little bits of humor I did like. Um, it was definitely all about like um showing Yusuke that yes, he is um, a kind person, but he, for whatever reason, he puts up the front that, yeah, he's a punk. He decides to be this tough kid and stuff like that who can whoop ass and everything. And unfortunately, right, winds up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so the teachers or the principal are just like, hey, what are you doing? Even though the bullies are actually you know, being getting their ass whooped by Yusuke, right? Because they were picking on this kid or whatever, which they decided to go with, right? This was the majority of the first part, and that was like pretty pretty much the first part um, that we see that we kind of are familiar with Yusuke being like dead, and then he becomes a spirit detective, but it's done quite differently. They revived him right away at the price that he serves them as their spirit detective to find out why these bugs, which I believe was more emphasized in this one than in the original series. And these bugs do provide a little more of a clearer context of why certain characters do these things, kind of. But if you remember, Excuse me while I have my tea here. Anyway, um, if you remember from the original series or in the anime anyway, um, the kid who almost got ran over, right? It was caused by a reckless driver with his girlfriend at the time, laughing it up, not paying attention to the road, going way too fast on the street, and Yusuke decided to save the kid and dying in the process. And this time around, it was a truck driver, which might have been in the manga side of things, but my memory is a little foggy on that part. But the truck driver gets controlled by one of the yokai bugs, and basically it takes over. Driver goes crazy, almost runs over the kid. The process of that happening was just done in full shot. Like you don't get like the black screen or anything like that. You get to see Yusuke getting his ass ran over, and it was just like wow, you know. But boy, it was something. But damn. So you can kind of count on the violence here. It's not too bloody, but you see blood, running down the head, kind of thing. Blood splurting out of their mouth whenever they get hit or whatever. Um, it's not too violent. It's not the most violent thing I've seen, of course. Even One Piece is more violent than this, technically. But anyway, so there were some notes of respect, but then they decided to disrespect some things, or just like I don't know, they missed some notes, right? Um, and I would say while Kuwabara and Yusuke kind of got the limelight to really see how they are, you kind of miss out on Kurama and Hiei. Hiei, excuse me. And I would say Hiei, I hate to say it, put it like this, got the short end of the stick, right? You got to see him the least. So you kind of don't really get to understand why he is like this. But if you watch, of course, the original material, then yes, you have the context. But then you don't hear. They don't do a good job explaining things when it comes to certain other characters, why they do this, why they do that. Kurama at least kind of got the story that was told but not shown, right? They could have at least dedicated an episode for that, for sure. But this is only 5 episodes, right? That I will continue to say that is the crime of this series, So obviously, yes, the pacing does contribute to other problems with trying to understand these important characters, right? And even, of course, Toguro. Toguro is definitely probably like my favorite villain out of all the villains in the entire series. He was actually pretty deep as a character, and I was kind of disappointed that they kind of got things right, but then they kind of got like the cool notes kind of like drowned out from all the other things, right? Uh, I was reminded of this pretty important thing. It seems to be small, depending on how you look at it, but Toguro, right? If it, obviously there's gonna be some spoilers if you haven't seen Yu Yu Hakusho of anything, but when it comes to uh, Toguro himself, right? Younger Toguro, of course, just to be clear. Younger Toguro used to be human, right? And he wanted to be the best so much that he took care of his body to the point where he wanted no affiliation with alcohol. And so his go-to drink was orange juice with ice, I guess. I guess depending on the mood or whatever, but orange juice for the most part. And that was the one thing that still was strong despite becoming a demon, selling his soul to whatever, the devil or whatever. But he became a demon so that he can preserve his youth because he didn't want his strength to wither away, you know? So his greed took over, but not after seeing his fellow students die, fighting this demon or whatever. And, somehow he got those powers, but he had to become a demon to do so. But that one thing, that one thing about Toguro always was there to show that he is still human on the inside, right? We never got to see any of that because they just wanted to gloss over those details and and just be like, hey, this is a bad guy. He's gonna fight Yusuke. Oh, this happened too, by the way. So it's like, all right, well, there you go. Have a reason to care for this guy, but then it's just like those little things, really add up to something even cooler, right? To really supplement those things. But I was kind of disappointed that while they made these things really good for what it was, those other details could have been included, right? Somewhere in these five episodes, but they didn't, you know, even do that right. Now, with all that being said, while the little things get glossed over, the pacing is an issue. Did this live action needed to exist? No, but there are still some good things, like I kind of hinted in the beginning. One of the good things that came out from the show was the action. It was actually really good. It was pretty good, damn good. Like the fighting, the choreography was a lot convincing. Um, I was like, wow, this is actually some pretty sick shit that I'm seeing on the screen here, despite this being a live action anime and stuff like that. I like that. Those were the highlights. Even up to, of course, the big boss fight, with Toguro, of course. But um, even like the earlier stuff with Yusuke fighting Goki, him just fighting or just ruffling with the bullies, fighting with Kuwabara, um, the like those things or those parts were a treat actually, pretty damn good. So I think the action scenes and the fight scenes were probably the best thing that came out from this show. And it still conveys Yu Hakusho, right? If you know what I mean. With the spirit gun and everything, the spirit energy. But again, there are some notes that were missed, right? Yusuke's aura is like blue. Kuwabara's is just about orange or yellow. But I think his was just like blue, just like anything else. Like, what the hell? Right? I thought that was pretty strange. It was like, why? That was so simple, but they just made it blue, you know? And of course, kind of sound like more like a lightsaber than anything. But then again, the Spirit Sword in the original series kind of had that vibe too. So I guess I'll give him that. But the color, come on, guys. It was so simple. It's fucking orange. It's fucking orange yellow or whatever. But it just was just blue, you know? And could it have looked better? Sure. But not the that's the least of our worries. I think the fact that it's something so simple as the color of his sword was just blue, just like the spirit gun or whatever. You know? Again, those little details glossed over just like that. Now, despite the pacing of things, right, being a detriment, I think it was still done tastefully than, let's say, One Piece. But it is to say that there is a lot more to tell with One Piece than there is to Yu Hakusho. But Yu Hakusho still has its deep moments, and those get glossed over, of course, unfortunately. You kind of like got the basics of like, Yusuke getting revived, Keiko being there for Yusuke, going for the no, well, I think in the anime she went for the kiss, whereas Yusuke's body was about to get burned in this fire caused by, well, the bullies and the bullied, right? And Keiko tried to rescue Yusuke, but then, of course, Yusuke was able to come back to his body at, of course, the price of becoming the spirit detective for Koema and stuff like that. Which I forgot to mention, they already have him being an adult, which is kind of weird, or teenager, whatever, right? Young adult, instead of being a child, which he is kind of supposed to be anyway, but whatever. Because he's supposed to be Ko-Emma, not Emma. He's the son of King Emma, right? But whatever. He's still, so I guess they didn't want to pay extra money for the a child actor, even though there's a bunch of children anyway. But anyway, Koema and even Botan were kind of just there. Like they kind of served their purpose. They didn't provide like too much character out of this whole thing. I think Botan kind of did, but you wished for a little more. And here's another thing too. Botan doesn't fly on her broom. She doesn't fly on her stick or whatever. Like what the fuck? More of this shit. More of these important things. Kind of like these obvious details don't get glossed over, right? What is up with this stuff, right? At least with the orange juice, that's a little harder to, I guess, but still, that's still a little disappointing that they didn't show that part, right? But come on, that's not like Bolton's thing is also pretty fucking obvious, but they didn't include that for some reason. Well, I guess it's just for the CGI effect budget, I guess. Speaking of CGI, that part wasn't too bad. Um, especially for the budget that it got. Like it's supposed to be a TV series, so naturally the CGI in Japan in particular tends to be pretty rough. But given what was shown here, it wasn't actually that bad. Like especially when he was fighting Yosuke was fighting Goki, all the parts of people like flipping and flying and stuff like that in midair wasn't too rough. I would say not the worst thing I've seen, but a little rough on the edges and some, but still, it still enhances the already pretty cool fight scenes. So I'll definitely give him that too. And let's not forget the acting wasn't too bad either. I think they all did their parts pretty well for what was given. Yusuke was great. I would say even Kuwabara was pretty good. Like you felt sort of that wholesomeness that you get from Kuwabara in general, right? This actor was able to show that on the screen at least. And it was just that the face and the pompadour could have been something, right? Like they could have done something to it, make him a little more gruff. Otherwise, the actor for Kuwabara was just too handsome. That's kind of funny to say, right? Back to Botan though, her actress was a little rough on the delivery on some lines. Um, Maybe she was just one of the younger actors or actresses who just started. Who knows? But I kind of felt some roughness from some of the delivery with Botan. But otherwise, she still tried to be fun and stuff like that, positive, right? Optimistic to a lot of the situation at hand, right? And which usually, I guess, yeah, kind of what Botan did in the original series. But she also had her moments of being, serious, disciplined, right? Like, hey, come on, take this shit seriously, kind of thing. Here, she's a little more optimistic. She's a little more soft here. But still, I didn't really hate this Botan by any means. Now, of course, one of the more important characters, Genkai. I thought this actress was perfect for this Genkai. Very great. This actress was, from what I was able to research, is very famous within this the niche of Japanese actions, female action stars. She starred in a number of these movies and had that look, right? Had that signature look of being badass, and but despite being female, you know. I believe her name is Meiko Kaji, by the way. Bless her soul, because she, I think, nailed Genkai given her age at this point, right? Kind of like appropriate. She's showing up these kids like how you fight and stuff like that. How showing them up and showing them the ropes of how things go and stuff like that. I think that was a pretty cool sort of like connection, right? Parallels with this reality and here and in this series, right? Pretty cool, I would say. I kind of got the vibe of Morpheus and Neo, when they were fighting in the dojo. Kind of like the same thing here with Genkai and Yusuke. Kind of has similar vibes in this one. And another cool action scene once again. But just like in the original series, Genkai dies, but they just like have her die off screen, like nothing. They didn't even show it, right? They didn't make this glorious moment. It was such an important thing with between Toguro and Genkai, because I think they're supposed to be in love or something like that. I don't know, but they're supposed to have this strong relationship, strong but complicated relationship. And of course, that's another thing that's glossed over. But hey, it's 5 episodes, so I guess, but have the have the respect at least to show the battle between Toguro and Genkai. That could have been another cool action scene to show off for this live action series, but live action. But anyway, no, I'm just being silly, but at least show something between these two. Like, come on, man. These two are supposed to have some history, and only for us to not see it. She just they just show her vaguely dead, right? She's supposed to, have this hole in her chest or whatever, and she's supposed to like completely die, by the way. But in the anime, they revive her. That was one of the deviancies that they had with the anime from the manga. So I was like, whoa, right? When that happened. But anyway, so despite all that, right? Um, of course, right, with the pacing and everything, they really fast forward to the Dark Tournament, quote unquote. It's like a big reference to the Dark Tournament. It's not really the Dark Tournament, but it essentially is the Dark Tournament. And what I mean by that is that instead of having this grandiose tournament, right, it's just a show for the rich guys, right? And the rich guys are supposed to gamble, and that gambling is supposed to fuel Sakio's goal to open up the big hole that just magically happened, I guess. By the way, that's how the show starts. It's like this big ass hole that's supposed to be the thin line between the our world, right, Earth, and then you have the demon world or the spirit world. And of course, with Sakio being bored with Earth, he wanted to rip open the hole even bigger for the occupants of the demon world to cross over and just cause chaos, I guess. And that's why that was kind of his motivation. He's just bored, and he had a lot of money, I guess. But I thought that was kind of funny. But it's just weird of how that part was kind of written, right? Because at some point it became pointless for the rich guys to gamble anymore, because Sakio's scientists were able to do it despite having not enough money. So it's like, what? It's like, oh, okay, well, oh, by the way, we did it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Saki was like, oh, and then he laughed and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of written kind of oddly, but okay, whatever. And the rich guys just kind of became pointless at that point. I guess they're just there to shell out money for Sakio at that point, you know. And these fights, of course, were between Team Toguro and Team Urameshi, or Urameshi. In Urameshi, um, of course, fought the respective opponents. So you had Kuwabara against Elder Toguro, which who by the way was fucking crazy in this shit. um, the actor, I thought was perfect. Just like in the original series, he was a psycho. In this one, he was just batshit insane. And with Bowie though, my favorite. Bowie is my man. Besides Toguro, of course. Um, the armor was great. I love the costuming on that one. But then Karasu was kind of just generic looking. Um, I don't know. I mean, there's not much else to say about Karasu at that point. Like, he just had a black mask, long hair. Oh, okay. You know, not really much to say there. But yeah, everyone else, of course, with Toguro with the sunglasses, right? Very important. Um, they kind of looked their part, and those parts were done tastefully, I would say. Especially with Bowie. My God, the axe. Even when he broke his armor off, you know, I liked it. I liked the costume design there. So points for that. But I guess it just didn't give it too much their all when it comes to Karasu. Karasu's mask was just black. You don't really get to see the details too much. It was supposed to be like more metallic or grayish, right? But and if you look closely, he's supposed to have these tiny glasses, right? Small pair of glasses, I believe. But that was never like kind of shown or emphasized at all. But I thought that was kind of a funny little detail that it always was just there. I always noticed that, especially in the manga and the anime. But here in the live action, he just kind of just looked generic. Didn't look too stand out ish, if that's a word for it. But a little less memorable uh, than his anime design. You know, he looked pretty cool in the anime. And not to mention, um, he his powers weren't kind of, I think they were kind of butchered, right? Didn't really explain things. I don't think he had his chance to transform. I think I forget he had a transformation or not, but um, anyways, those fights were all happening at the same time. And of course, so it was kind of like jumping back and forth. You don't really get to see like these fights in one big succession, just like in the show. So you don't really get to have like the backstory of each of these characters, other than some few lines, unfortunately. Um, so again, more gloss over details, but anywho, they were fine for the most part when it comes to the action of themselves. Um, you know, plenty of that there. But yeah, by the time they got to younger Toguro, they built up to this like grand thing, right? Yusuke got the orb. He got the spirit energy from Genkai. All he did with it though was just shoot a big spirit gun. And even Toguro had his transformation. Like, what the fuck? Because Yusuke was supposed to transform and show and hint that he is not exactly human, right? Kind of spoilers there, but I won't say what he is. But in the original series, he got the long hair, new powers and everything. Something in him awakened, but you don't really get to see that. So at least do that part too. Another thing glossed over. They probably were just like, nah, they didn't want to deal with the long hair or whatever. Maybe the costume design there could have been rough there, but yeah, I don't know. At least try something. I wish they did. That could have been kind of cool. That they at least put some attention to it. But they, again, another thing glossed fucking over. So, so yeah, that part's done. and it ends, right? And here's like another thing glossed over, another big part of this disrespect that was just so unnecessary because it was just so simple to do, right? It's to at least play the fucking theme song that we all love, right? Us Yu Yu Hakusho enjoyers. Smile Bomb was nowhere to be found, I don't think, in the show at fucking all. You know, I was just so surprised that they didn't even try to do a remix, some orchestra bullshit, or anything. I just was just so surprised that that was also completely omitted. Like, why? You know what I mean? Why was that also omitted? That was also like a easy layup into a slam dunk, but they instead they're kind of just like, eh, with this like this is weird like what Japanese song with English lyrics thrown in there, English words, I think. You know, kind of rapish, hip hopish. What the fuck? But the ending of itself was, kind of respectful. I get it. They're not gonna do another season of this, but again, a lot of these unnecessary gloss overs, right? This ignorance. But given what we were shown, it was all right. I like seeing Yusuke. I like seeing Kuwabara. I wish for more Kurama and Hiei. But you know, the pacing of it just like damn, but given within these 5 episodes, I enjoyed it. I wasn't like completely offended, but there were some disappointing moments. The orange juice, Botan not flying, the song, where's the song, right? Kuwabara's sword, Yusuke's transformation, what transformation? All that stuff, right? Was there were plenty of those, right? Moments. Pretty annoying. So, is this the best thing out on the street? No. But what was this like a travesty, a disaster, and like that? No. Because there's like actual cool shit to pull from this show. The action scenes, the material given to these actors and what they did wasn't bad at all. But it's just all those little negatives that just really add up to this big annoyance. So, all that said, I'm actually going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty respectful show, despite the annoyances. But, did we really need this? No. But, what was given and shown here is not the worst thing. It's not bad. If you like action, plenty of it here, for sure. But, the amount of disrespect, the gloss overs, the ignorance, the skips, the omitting, the omittance of like these like easy things. What the hell? But despite all that, not the worst thing still. So if you're willing to give it a time or give it a shot, excuse me, hey, you'll have a good time with it. I mean, I guess it's like One Piece, right? It's a good introduction for people who don't know about Yu Yu Hakusho, especially on Netflix, and be like, oh, there's a manga or the anime to check it out and see more of it. All the things that they skip over are there, right? See what the OG stuff is all about. Hopefully. So that's all I got for Yu Yu Hakusho. My voice is shot, but I really wanted to talk about this, and thank you very much for sticking through my review. I felt like I was still all over the place because this is actually my second take, but I think this one was a little better. So anyways, I'll give you guys this one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments about Yu Yu Hakusho live action, leave me down below. I really appreciate it, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the links in the description below to help support this channel. want to see more of stuff like this, I'll try to do my best. But more importantly, I'll try to take care of myself to get better. But most importantly, take care of yourselves, right? 2024 has just begun. And I decided to kind of rewind a little bit to check out what 2023 had to offer in the end of things, which was Netflix's Yu Hakusho. So that's my review of it. Thank you very much, and hope to see you all in the next video. Sean out.